It's a good thing when you're young to stick it out through the hard times. When life is heavy and hard to take, go off by yourself. Enter the silence. Bow in prayer. Don't ask questions. Wait for hope to appear. Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 25 through 29. The Message Bible. 1. An extraordinary mystery. Robin, sometimes when an idea just won't go away, you need to pay attention to how God is nudging you. That's what happened with this book. Tricia and I have been friends for almost 2 decades, and both of us are writers. But our life stories as well as our love stories are radically different. Beyond writing, we do have one interesting commonality. Both of us prayed for our future husbands when we were teens. But how did that add up to our writing a book together? 3 incidents convinced us we should. The first moment of inspiration fell on me with a weighty sense of urgency one bright November afternoon. I was in Brazil, standing in front of 300 teen girls in a school cafeteria. My Christy Miller and Sierra Jensen novels for teens have been translated into Portuguese, and the teachers at this school use the books as part of their curriculum. That meant all the girls had read the books. When my husband and I entered the cafeteria, the girls greeted us with a wave of screams as if we were the real Christy and Todd all grown up and visiting them in Brazil. To quiet down the screaming girls, I asked the translator to invite them to ask questions. One of the girls raised her hand and popped up from her seat. In Portuguese, she asked me what she and her friends should do since the boys in Brazil weren't reading my books. "What do you mean?" I asked. She spoke passionately as the translator beside me explained. She says that after reading your books, she and her friends are making good decisions. They've given their lives to Christ and now want to stay pure and save themselves for their future husbands. But you see, the boys of Brazil are not reading these books. They are not making these same decisions. She wants to know what can be done about that. My heart pounded. Every face in that cafeteria was fixed on me, waiting for an answer. The young woman had just identified a global problem for our present generation of Christian women. I had heard this frustration voiced many times in letters and emails I had received from readers over the years, but no one had ever asked me what could be done to change this dilemma of an unbalanced ratio between God-honoring young women and their male contemporaries who were slow to see God. What could I tell her? The words that came out of my heart were, "You have work to do, dear God-lover girls. You must start praying for your future husband now." The translator gave her my answer, and a reverent hush fell over the room. Before me was a troop of willing but untrained young women ready to enter the war zone to fight for their young men. But how? I wished then that I had something more to offer those girls. It's one thing to tell them to pray, and another thing to come alongside and show them what that looks like. The second defining moment came 2 years later. Tricia and I were at a writer's retreat in California. During the afternoon break, we headed out to the pool. I settled in a lounge chair and wrote notes in my journal for a novel I was working on. Tricia succumbed to the luxurious autumn sunshine and floated off into a deep sleep. Suddenly she woke up, turned to me and said, "What?" as if I'd been talking to her while she slept. I looked at her and spoke an unpremeditated thought. "Tricia, we need to write a book together." "Okay." She didn't even blink before sinking back into her afternoon lull. A moment later, her head rose again. "What are we supposed to write about?" "I have no idea." The gentle notion flitted past me as softly as it had fallen on Tricia. We caught the little inspiration the way an artist would reach for a floating feather or a child would bend to pick up a pale blue pebble and tuck it in a pocket. Over the next year or so, we periodically pulled the small inspiration out of our pockets and talked about what we should write. We had lots of ideas, as all creative people do, but the affirmation and direction weren't there, so we waited and we prayed. The third moment of inspiration came with such defining clarity we knew what the book was to be about.